What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming at y'all with a Senior Bowl preview. And so I'm going to do it a little bit differently. We'll have our official game preview later this week, man. But we're down in Mobile, Alabama, covering the Senior Bowl. And, being a big FCS channel, I wanted to kind of give a breakdown of some of the top FCS prospects that you're going to see throughout the week. I'm going to do my best at practices, which I'm about to head to in just a little bit to highlight some of these FCS players, who they're going up against, how they're performing, and keep you guys updated on their process. Because the biggest thing for the Senior Bowl, the NFLPA game, the East West Shrine game, is for these FCS athletes to get the shine and show their talent against some of the top FBS talent in the country. And, for me, you see the first topic, the importance of FCS exposure. I think we got a great start at the NFLPA game. You saw Cole Kelly win MVP from Southeastern Louisiana at quarterback. Akil Glass had a great game from Alabama A&M. You saw James Houston, CJ Holmes. You saw Troy, I believe Daniel Hardy as well out there. I mean, that there were a bunch of players who really put on a great show. Of course, you got Ezard from Sam Houston State that put on an absolute amazing performance. The wide receiver from Nichols as well. You had a lot of players really put on for the FCS and the NFLPA game, and this is going to be the pinnacle. The FCS players that are down in Mobile this week against the best of the best are really going to be able to make their impact. And so I got four guys that I think are really extremely important to this FCS movement, and are four guys who I think are four of the best prospects coming out of the FCS, and also four guys this weekend that absolutely could skyrocket their stock in terms of where you could see their name called later in April this year. So we're gonna start with the first one, man. And this, for me, I think this guy is in my opinion the best NFL prospect from the FCS this year. You don't have to look any further than Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa. And really and truly, you might hear his name on the first night of the NFL draft when it comes to this season, man. There's a reason Penning was the first overall prospect to receive and accept an invite to the 2022 Senior Bowl is due to the size, his production, his overall draft status right now coming into the week with a lot more room to grow. There's a lot of scouts that are going to be focused on what Penning does this week against some of the top edge guys and top defensive linemen that are down in Mobile this weekend. But when you look at him as a prospect, man, he has everything you want from a top offensive line prospect. And this is going to be a great chance to show. I mean, he has the size. 6'6", 322 is what he measured in that, man. A giant guy, man. This dude, I saw him walking around the convention center yesterday, man. The dude is a mountain of a man, and he looks every bit of what his listed size was. And then, of course, you got the production, 32 career starts for UNI. He played alongside some of the best NFL offensive tackles in last year's draft, and Spencer Brown and Ellerson Smith. The the UNI had an amazing offensive line, and this and Penny's just going to be the next in a long line of guys coming out of that program. But also the physicality and his attitude, or his mean streak, you could call it, are two of the attributes that I think scouts are going to fall in love with this week. And these are two qualities that absolutely pop out when watching Penning's film, and where he consistently finishes blocks, has that just anger and that aggressiveness, where if a DN does not match his energy, he's probably going to get put into the ground. And I love that from an offensive lineman. You can't teach it, but also his strength and just how physical he is a big problem for DN to maybe undersized or have improper technique. If you get off your spot and Penning gets his hands on you, he is going to manhandle you. And that's something I want to see this weekend, is how does he perform against guys who have good technique, who really do everything correctly, because we've seen him be able just to overpower people that he plays at the FCS level. Can he do that to a Majay Sanders, who's going to be down here this weekend from Cincinnati? Is he going to be able to do it against some of the bigger names this weekend in Mobile? I believe he can, but that's what a lot of the scouts are going to look for, is those one-on-one drills. What is his win rate? What is his footwork like? Can he match that physicality with technique? I was reading some of the scouting reports on him coming into this episode, and one thing a lot of people want to see is his balance. Can he Sometimes he gets a little bit too far over his toes. He ends up on the ground a lot, and you can kind of see that in the film. But for me, that's very, very fixable. That's very manageable to work on at the next level. But for me, his physicality, his production, and just the overall culture he comes from in that O line room at UNI, for me, is going to make him a top pick. I mean, almost instantly. And I think this weekend, if this week proves that he can replicate that FCS level success against some of the top FBS talent, there are a lot of teams, I think, in the late first round, early second round, who are going to take a chance at pinning being their offensive lineman of the future. And he's helped out so much. That's Brown, who got drafted by Buffalo last year, has performed so well and probably been, I would say, arguably one of the best offensive linemen, uh, eh, out of that class. So for me, I think that's a big thing for Penning. And then also, I've been hearing he's killing the interviews, man. People like this kid. And so, with everything going for him like it is, I think Trevor Penning right now is the best FCS draft prospect in this class. And I don't even know if it's a conversation at this point. But moving on here, that as much as Penny might be the no doubt best prospect right now, if there's the title of the most interesting prospect in the entire draft, especially out of the FCS, Troy Andersen is that guy, linebacker out of Montana State. His history at Montana State, his measurables, it that might make him the biggest steal in the 2022 draft if he can live up to everything. You look at what he's done. In case you guys don't know who Anderson is or what his story is, this kid won Big Sky Freshman of the Year as a running back in 2017. Followed that up with a first team All Big Sky selection as a quarterback in 2018, and then he comes back and finishes second in the Buck Buchanan Award race, wins Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, and is a first team All American as a linebacker in 2021. So this kid went from running back to quarterback to linebacker and played both ways at times. I mean, this kid as an athlete might be the most freak athlete in the draft. And I think Troy Anderson this weekend stands to have the most to gain than any other prospect on the roster, and that includes FBS guys. Troy Anderson has the ability to shock some people this weekend or this week, and I'm really excited even today to get to practice and see where they're playing him, where he fits in, and just see his size and athleticism match up against some of the other guys at his position. But you look at Anderson, his combination of size, athleticism, and explosiveness is not seen in many linebacker prospects at any level of football. His size, 6'3", 242, guys. I mean, a massive linebacker, and on top of that, he has the athleticism, the speed and acceleration, the fluidity to be a top level running back and quarterback for the Bobcats, and also that speed translates into him being able to drop into coverage, not miss a beat, chasing down the most athletic of offensive weapons. He can play sideline to sideline all across the field because of that athleticism. And due to him being so fluid with his movements, it allows him to be great in pursuit, and he plays in open space very well. He's a smart player and he knows where he needs to be, and he's hardly ever in the wrong spot on a play. And then along with that, his versatility, without even addressing the offensive history, his athleticism, if you go watch the film, he's played at middle linebacker. He's played at box safety. He's played slot defensive back. He's played edge. He's played all these different spots, and that's priceless for an NFL team looking for a defensive weapon in the NFL draft. And Troy Anderson could be that guy. And a big week this week, or in this weekend in the game, we could be sitting here Saturday night, Sunday morning saying that Anderson was the best performer of the week in Mobile this weekend. And he could be another FCS prospect that might be an early day two selection. I think Troy Anderson could shock a lot of people this weekend. I think there's a lot of people who don't really follow the FCS that don't know what they're getting in a kid like that. And so I'm very excited to see what he puts on in Mobile this week, and I'm really going to be paying close attention to, what the scouts are saying when he's out there, how fast he looks, and how big he looks compared to some of the top FBS prospects. As for me, I think he has the ability to be have a real huge week this week in Mobile. Now, the other guy, another offensive lineman, Chatavi Carter, offensive lineman from Southern, man. And this is another FCS offensive lineman, that I think could be a big winner this weekend. And, he's been an intricate part of that Jaguars offensive line, has paved the way for one of the top rushing attacks in the SWAC at Southern. He's a mauler. He's been one of the more accomplished offensive linemen in the FCS these past 4 seasons. He's been a SWAC first and second team All American, an Offensive Lineman of the Year selection, a first team All American in the FCS for the Jags. So Carter has done it all, and he has the experience and the size to be a real steal in the later rounds of the NFL draft. And for me, this is going to be a great opportunity to shine against some of the top FBS defensive linemen in the country and further solidify his draft stock. When you look at the size, though, this was a big thing yesterday I paid attention to. We had just the measurables yesterday. Southern had Carter at the offensive tackle spot listed at 6'5", 275. So in terms of weight, he was pretty small, but that height was looking great. But yesterday he measured in at 6'3", 306, which really changes the entire perspective of his draft fit and what I'm going to be looking forward for him to do this week. He's going to project as a guard at 6'3". There's no way at 6'3" he's probably going to slide into a tackle spot at the NFL. He's probably going to have to slide down into a guard or center role. And now, due to that decrease in height and increase in weight, I want to see what he can do just from the interior in terms of manhandling people. I need the physicality. I need to see how he's going to fit in that guard technique. What's the communication going to be like? The footwork. Can he pull? Can he do things that a guard has to do that's different than a tackle? And that's going to be something I'm really looking for Carter to take that next step in. Technique is the biggest thing that he's going to have to prove. A lot of people love his physicality, his measurables, everything like that, but some scouts want to see him take that next step in his technique. So it's going to be important to do that this weekend at a new spot that he probably hasn't played a lot in. But we've seen this happen before. David Moore last year out of Grambling had a great week at the Senior Bowl. He graded out better than Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, a first round pick in terms of one-on-one matchups. And if Carter shows his versatility, continues his physical play, then he could really improve his draft stock this week. And so for me, I need to see him work in that guard spot. I need to see him be physical. I need to see him, really and truly show that he can be a guard at the next level because he played tackle his whole career at Southern. And so I really want to see what he does this week. And I think the size issue is a non-factor because his strength is run blocking, and that's what he's going to be asked to do at that guard spot. He's going to get some help in terms of pass blocking, but he's got to understand the stunts differently because when people stunt, the tackle and guard have to pick it up in different ways and communicate in different ways, and that's going to be something to watch for Carter this week is how he does that. Now, the final prospect, man, Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State, man. And if you're looking for a skill position guy from the FCS to take the world by storm this weekend, look no further than Watson, man. This guy has all the makings to be something special at the next level. In a run heavy offense, Watson found a way to be a two-time All Missouri Valley Conference selection at wide receiver, was an All American at kick returner for the Bison, and it further showed his explosiveness and athletic ability to impact the game in multiple ways. Now, a lot of people wondered if he was going to measure into what he was listed on the Bison website. He measured in yesterday at 6'4", 211. That is grown man size, and he still had an official 4'4", 40 coming out of Fargo. So I think scouts are going to be drooling over this kid. And they were doing intros yesterday, and Christian Watson was out there doing backflips and all kind of crazy stuff. The kid is a hyper athlete. And I think due to his size and speed and his ability to go up and get the ball, I think Christian Watson has a great chance this week to really improve his draft stock. And I also want to see how they use him this week. His versatility for the Bison was huge. He played outside. He played in the slot. He played at running back. He was a kick returner. They utilized him on jet sweeps. throughout his time in Fargo, they used him in so many different ways. It allowed him to get in open space and make plays. I want to see how they use him this week at the Senior Bowl and see if they can really highlight that versatility that Christian Watson honestly has. And I think for him, that would be the best case scenario because it will really show his value to a lot of NFL squads looking for that next weapon as we see offenses evolve at that next level and really use someone like a Christian Watson who can do all the things that he's able to do. And the number one thing is no drops, man. He struggled with drops at times during his career at Fargo. This week he needs to be flawless. He needs to show that he can win one-on-one he can win those one-on-one opportunities. He can make plays downfield. And if he can do that, Christian Watson could be one of the biggest, gainers this week in terms of NFL draft stock out of the FCS. But these are my four guys I'm keeping a real, real strong eye on. I'm going to try to get as much practice from as I can. I'm kind of limited on how much I can share from the Senior Bowl, but I'm going to try to get y'all as much content. I'm working on getting interviews with all these four guys. These are the four guys I put in my media request to interview one on one. So I'm going to work on that and get those interviews to y'all as quick as I can and try to work and get some more Senior Bowl content from this week, man. But I'll be down here covering practices every day and the game on Saturday, man. So stay tuned right here for all that Senior Bowl content. But guys, make sure to subscribe. Go check out our interviews from the HBCU Combine. And also, we had Patrick O'Connell, Montana linebacker, Buck Buchanan Award finalist on the show yesterday. Go check out his interview as well. Follow us on social media. They're listed below, man. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.